Welcome to the SERAS installation and setup guide. To be able to initiate the installation process, you will need the following: Java 8 and a service manager. We'll use NSSM, which is an open source application that may be used by anyone. Let's begin installing SERAS by selecting the following command line in the txt file for SERAS installation and inserting it in the command prompt window. Then add NSSM install to start the service manager and press enter. A window NSSM installer pops up. Here you need to define the application path, namely a path to Java. There is also a field to define a directory with which you will work and where SERAS is located. In the arguments field, you need to specify what needs to be launched, SERAS in this case. You can also see two additional commands in the document. The first one defines the maximum amount of memory which SERAS is allowed to use. By default, it is 4 GB so that you can test your system. The ideal scenario is to go for 8 GB if you have extensive demands. However, if a system is small and not demanding, 2 GB will be just fine. The second command is an encoding parameter, with which SERAS works to avoid any artifacts or functionality issues related to special characters. Let's copy a line with the arguments and paste it into the arguments field. The service name will be SERAS. In details, you can define the display name, SERAS, and add a description for services. Click Install, and then OK. Next, you need to go to the Windows Services and look for SERAS. It has just been installed. Click Start. Now let's check the admin panel. It works. You can set the username and password directly in the admin panel if needed. Now save the changes and click Restart. After refreshing the page, you can see that you're already being asked for credentials. Then you can select German or English in the admin panel settings. A new trial license is generated for you too, which will be valid until December 28. That is, for a limited time. To get a full license, you need to contact the SKyPRO support team with your server ID. You can use different admin ports. Currently, you're using 8182, but you can change that. And finally, let's take care of the key store settings so that the services and admin panel work on HTTPS. To do this, you need to have your own key store. Move it to the SERAS root folder. And copy the file name to the field File Name in the key store settings. Add a password to it. And then click Save. The next step is to enable SSL and save the admin settings. Let's check everything by restarting the service. Right now, it's unavailable because the address bar contains HTTP instead of HTTPS. Now you have access to the service and the admin panel. Always make sure to save the key store as well as the password before you enable SSL. Let's look at the key store errors. If you have an invalid key store or an invalid password, and you try to save them in the key store settings, the first thing you will get is that your SSL will be automatically disabled. On the restart or startup, HTTP instead of HTTPS will be used. Here is the error description with the exact reason why SSL was disabled. Also, if you have a file-related error, such as a wrong file name, or a non-existent file and you try to save the settings, the same error will appear, and you will not be able to enable SSL. You will also need this key store to run services in HTTPS SSL format. Here is some bonus information about logging. If you want to log this service to a separate test service folder, you'll need to manually create it beforehand. In this case, you will receive logs in this folder. Also, in the root directory, you can find the configs folder where all your SERAS settings are stored. So, if you want to run exactly the same service in another environment, you can just copy this folder and use the duplicate for running the same service in a different environment. Thank you for your attention.